So very recently, the AFL gave us a little bit of a sneak peek and an insight to some of the 2025 potential top 10 AFL draft players. Again, I actually made a separate video on that, which I highly recommend you guys go and check that out. But obviously in it, I talk about who's going to be in that mark around in the top 10, you know, what teams potentially will be interested in these players, all of the above, right? But one thing I didn't talk about too much of is who these players are actually going to, you know, go and train for in the off-season. After all, it's not something that always happens. Some years there's only like one or two players who will train with teams. In other years there's a lot. And it seems like this is one of those years where pretty much every AFL draftee and their dad is trying to train with an AFL team, because recently the AFL just gave us a list of every single one of those, you know, 17-year-olds who is basically pushing it to the limit and probably getting squashed by Mason Cox in a tackle. So, again, I'm very interested to read you guys this list, give you guys my thoughts and opinions on all of this and more. But again, before we do get into it, there is still a decent amount of you guys who watch these videos who are not yet subscribed to the channel. What are you doing? Make a chubby fat kid who wears a Tate McRae shirt very happy by leaving a like on this video to let me know you enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel for more AFL and sports content. And I guess without further ado, we'll get straight into it with the article by Callum Toomey that says the 2025 draft prospects training at your club this week. A famous footy name is among 12 prospects training at AFL clubs. Again, it goes on to say, highly rated draft talents Dylan Sharp, Willem Dersma, and Cooper Duff Tytler are among the group of Marsh AFL Academy prospects training at AFL clubs this week. After approximately half of the AFL Academy squad spent time at clubs for their training placements in December, another 12 players will be at clubs in January. The Club Experience Week allows the 2025 draft hopefuls to see inside a club, train with the elite level, and afford the clubs the chance to get a better insight into the players ahead of the draft campaigns. Again, there's a lot of really interesting ones to go over, just because as well that players will draft with a team does not mean that this team is going to draft them or anything like that. I mean, Jagger Smith literally trained with Richmond, I think, the whole entire of December and January last year, and the Tigers had the chance to select him at one. They said, you know what, we're going to go take Sam Lawler instead. So it doesn't completely mean everything, and a lot of these players, in fact 99% of them, probably won't go to these teams that are training with them. But the thing is, these players just get a chance to learn, and they get a chance to experience what it is like to be an AFL player, and it gives them a shot at something really special. It goes on to say that Sharp, who enjoyed a strong bottom age season with Central District that included playing at league level in the SANFL, will train at Adelaide this week alongside district teammate Matt LeRae. Sharp is arguably the best player in the draft. I've spoken on him a little bit on this channel, but considering the best player in this draft that a lot of people say Zeke Euland is Gold Coast Academy, the next best is probably going to be Dyson Sharp, and he is a really, really good talent. Again, I think teams like Richmond and West Coast, who will probably have that pick one, are going to be all over him like Michael Jackson was to potential prey at a Wiggles concert. God, that joke was really dark. Sometimes I just pull shit out of my arsehole and I don't even know where I get it from. So yeah, Dyson Sharp is there. It also said, though Hawthorn's link with Coat Talents League club Gippsland Power, Dersma will be at the Hawks. The youngest Dersma sibling starts his under-18 season as pick number 1 contender after an exciting 2 seasons playing at a range of different positions, including as a tall defender and a forward, as well as a midfielder. Again, there has been some training videos of Dersma with Hawthorn, courtesy of Baseline Footy, so please don't touch my video inappropriately with a, copyright thing or something. Baseline, I respect you and love you. Please have my kids. But yeah, you can see him training, and there's a lot of really awesome stuff going on right here, because Dersma is another one of those guys who has a very big chance at potentially being the first overall pick. Again, I don't know why this website leads with him as a tall defender and a tall forward, because when I watched Dersma in the couple games that I watched him and the big game I watched him when he played against Dandenong, this guy was a legit inside midfielder who kind of played as a wingman as well because of how good his two-way running was, getting from offense to defense. Again, he played as inside midfielder at least 75% of the game that I watched, so yeah, weird for Toomey to lead with that, but yeah, Dersma's going to be an absolute freak, I think, and wouldn't be surprised if he's already better than his brothers, who I don't think are that good, if I'm being honest. Calder Cannons prospect Duff Tytler burst onto the scene late in 2024 season, with the basketball talent choosing to pursue his football pathway after an eye-catching end of the year. The 200cm ruckman will be at Essendon this week for his training stay. Sandringham tall forward Archie Ladowick will train with St Kilda this week, while Dandenong Stingrays midfielder Noah Hargraves will spend his time at Melbourne. Murray Bushrangers forward Liam Heatherton will be at the Giants after showing promising signs as a key option at the under-17s level. Again, Duff Tytler I do know a little bit about. There are 2 ruckmen in this draft class who are ranked in the top 10. The other one who I don't think gets mentioned in this article is Lewis Emmett, who actually spent time at Richmond in December. So I think Richmond will be looking at one of these ruckmen, and so will a lot of other teams. But again, the Tigers already have probably 2 top 10 picks, as we've seen. So they'll be very much lurking around a new ruckman to potentially replace Nank in a couple of years. One of those guys could be it, and both of them look really, really special. It also says Port Adelaide will have 3 draft prospects train with their club next week. Local pair Harley Barker and Sam Cumming, will be there, as well as Taj Murray, who is from the Northern Territory but also tied to North Adelaide. The ruckman has been on the radar of clubs since an impressive under-16s carnival in 2023. Sydney will also have Northern Academy pair Lachlan Carmichael and Noah Chamberlain training with the AFL squad. Again, you kind of get a full list of the players and whatnot who are here. Weird that I think, you see Richmond, North Melbourne and West Coast are the most likely 3 worst teams of next year. And, I mean, even some people have Essendon tipped down there. Essendon only have 1. The other 3 teams have legitimately, no one there. That's kind of bizarre to me that none of them are having train-ons. But I guess, especially in Richmond and North Melbourne's case, they have so many goddamn young players that they probably need to worry about their own guys before they go and maybe look at getting one of these guys into the team. So yeah, you're seeing a lot of really good players here. I am a little bit sussed on, one player that is going to particularly pique my interest this year is Dyson Sharp. The reason I say Dyson Sharp is really going to pique my interest this year is because I genuinely believe he is right now the number 1 pick candidate. And obviously all of that can change going into 2025 now that we're in. We see it every year. Like Sam Lawler was ranked I think 8 at the start of last year and he ended up getting pick 1. A lot of scenarios really do happen like that. Again, I think Dyson Sharp, he is going to be that pick 1 prospect. But you talk about a lot of players being academy tied like, Zeke Ewell in the Gold Coast so no team can have him. I am scared a little bit about Dyson Sharp because I think the AFL is in a really, really bad spot with Adelaide teams particularly. And Port Adelaide fans and Adelaide fans will admit this. The Adelaide and Port Adelaide Football Club practically admit this as well. They are an absolute demon when it comes to talking to contracted players to try and get them across to the team. Again, you're not allowed to do that in the NBA. That's, of course, tampering and really, really not allowed. Again, in the AFL, there are certain tampering rules, but you always hear that Port Adelaide, especially, are in talks with players well before and manage when the players request trades to the team. They manage to get them decently easy. One of the big scenarios being Jason Horne-Francis, where some people are saying Port Adelaide have been talking to him for 3 to 6 months, which just doesn't sound like it should be allowed. And he left North Melbourne after only 1 year. So it does scare me a little bit for Dyson Sharp, where, you look at Richmond and West Coast, who will probably be the pick 1 favourites. they'll be sitting there thinking, geez, do we take this guy? Because even though we're much bigger markets, the biggest markets nearly in the game, way bigger than North Melbourne, there would be a little bit of fear left in you. Just like, holy crap, you know, I mean, we're the West Coast Football Club. We have 100,000 members. You know, most people would want to come and play for us. But if we take this dude at pick number 1, and as soon as he steps foot in the club, Port Adelaide are already talking to his management, and Adelaide are talking to his management, it's really, really tough to keep these players. Again, much easier for them to get Harley Reid from Melbourne, especially Bendigo. Well, technically not even Melbourne, it's Bendigo, because Victorian clubs don't seem to do it as much. And again, Melbourne clubs aren't going to be trying to poach a dude from the country until he's probably out of contract. It is a really tough situation. I think if North for some reason finished last this year, which I think is no way of happening, but let's just say they did, there's no way they're taking Dyson Sharp at pick 1. They don't want to relive what they had to live a couple years ago. So it does scare me a little bit about Dyson Sharp now being the number 1 prospect, because if it was any other state, it wouldn't matter. But South Australian teams, yeah, they have a habit of really poaching players super early. Like, I think Joe Richards was in his first year with Collingwood this year. He's going to Port Adelaide on like a 3 to 4 year deal. Like, Port are very criminal at doing it. Again, I'm very interested to hear your thoughts and opinions on all of this. What do you guys think about the players that are training? You know, and are they training at your clubs? Are you guys excited to see how their draft years go and whatnot? All of the above. Definitely let me know all of your thoughts and opinions on this down below. Subscribe to the channel for all the latest sports content and news. Check out my gaming channels and my IRL/vlogging channels. Links for them will be in the description down below. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.